Welcome, everybody, to tonight's Fascia Fit, Fascia and Lymph connection, and how we can really help ourselves feel so much better, get out of pain. But I really tonight am excited to share how the fascia and the lymph system are intimately created together. They're connected, and how important that is when we know it and we can work it and use our wand if you have it and movement to really help ourselves look and feel better. So, welcome you guys for wherever you are. Hey, Tammy, anybody that's on, I would so love it if you just say a quick hi to me. And I know that the comments, you're only going to see comments from wherever you're watching this from. And so tonight I have my dear friend Cheryl Canarium. She's actually in the studio with me and she can see the comments. So this way she can help answer questions if she knows them and just monitor the comments and the questions. So, hey, Lindsay, good to see you. And thanks you guys for coming out, telling us who you are and any questions you have or comments or testimonials or anything. We're all about it. All right, so let me just share with you what we're going to do tonight, and then we're going to get right into it because I got a lot of stuff. So I do have me. You guys know me. I love a good little PowerPoint because it keeps me on track. So I'm going to put on the PowerPoint and just share a little bit of information about the fascia system, about the lymph system, how they're connected, why it's important to work both of them, and what happens when we don't. So a little bit about that. Now, there's so much about the lymph system and the fascia system. I'm only going to do a tiny little dive into this, okay? And then if you guys are excited, we can always do more as we go along. And then after that, I'm going to take that off. We're going to grab our wands if you have one. If not, stick around anyway. Great information, okay? And we're going to do a quick little blow session, and then we're going to move. I'm going to give you some great movements. And these movements, for the most part, are from a workout that I have been doing and teaching for 25 years called t-tapp. And the reason I'm going to do it is because it is a very fascia fit and lymphatic pumping workout, very specific for that. So I'm really excited to show you guys all that. So hi, Carlos and Dan. So good to see you guys. All right, let me go right to the stream and put this on the fascia lymph connection. And I love this picture. Of course, it's all about my colors, but you can really see this is the lymph system specifically. And look at all these little nodules. These are your lymph nodes, but notice how the lymph system is all through the whole body. And that's really important. Let's get going. So, you guys, did you realize that your lymphatic system is actually located within the fascia, right underneath our skin? So the fascia system is essentially, it's a glide system. We say it glides and slides. And if you've ever seen a picture of it, it's so fascinating. And you'll see that it's got like a gel inside. So it's fluid and it moves and hydrates. And it's through absolutely everything. It is a continuous web that surrounds and connects our body's muscles, vessels, nerves, and organs. I like to say it actually surrounds everything, it separates everything, and connects everything. It's breathtaking in its magnificence, truly. And the lymphatic system is designed to glide right along with the fascia system. But since the lymphatic system does not have a heartbeat like our circulatory system to pump the lymph, like our heart pumps the blood, the lymphatic system, interestingly enough, you guys, has more fluid than our circulatory system, but it relies on our body's movement by muscles and fascia to squeeze the vessels and pump the lymph through the system. It acts like a low pressure hose. Okay. And for those of you that might not be really familiar with the lymphatic system, here's what I can tell you. It is our body's drainage system. It is how our body detoxes each day from all the toxicity and even excess hormones, toxic emotions, all these things that have to go through the lymphatic system to drain back out. So thinking about that, if you've got static lymphatic system and bound up lymph, No wonder we are not feeling good, you guys. All right, so when your fascia is healthy, it's hydrated, it's flexible, it's supple, it's unrestricted, our tissues move really freely, and then it helps the lymph move more freely through those vessels, through towards the neck and the heart for removal. But if the fascia is all bound up and restricted because of dysfunctional postures, how many of us sit like this all the time? Injury, surgical scarring, inflammation, or removal of any lymph nodes, which can happen. This causes roadblocks in the system, and then we get restrictions. So, you can start to think about what we talk about when we're talking about the wand and what happens when we turn it on, right? It opens up all those restrictions. And it helps the lymphatic system start to move, so it's opening everything up and allowing the detox system to start to move. One of the reasons that some of us start to feel kind of yucky at first. Why? Because actually it's wonderful that lymphatic system is starting to move. So one other thing that I really like to me, it's a beautiful visualization, and that is of a run of bodies of water. So, you see a body of water like a stream, and it's going down, it's hitting the rocks, but it's always moving and it's moving downstream. So, moving water can stay really nice and clean as opposed to a pond where there's no movement and then it gets thick and it gets toxic, and you get the picture. Well, think of our lymph system and our fascia system like that. We need to move it just like water, because what is it? It's all fluid, you guys. Isn't that fascinating? All right, the importance of the lymph system. I kind of already talked a little bit about this, but when the lymphatic system collects and defends against unwanted bacteria, viruses, all kinds of toxic cells, when it's moving, it's preventing infection and diseases from spreading. Okay, the constant movement of the unwanted cellular waste out of whatever region it was created, that's what's going to help you prevent formation of cysts. It improves nerve conduction. So, when we start to not feel or have tingling in our lower legs, no, we want to move it on up. It improves nerve conduction, restores normal lines of tension and compression across joint surfaces, decreases inflammation of all causes, and ultimately contributes to a sense of wellness. So, it is super important. And cellularly, when we think about it from a cell standpoint, every single cell in our body, you guys, is surrounded by fascia and lymph fluid, which again, as I said, if we're not moving, become more and more what's called viscous, right? It gets thick and gooey, which then creates pressure that can impede the cells from absorbing the fluid, the oxygen, the nutrients, the hormones, and the energy that these cells need to thrive. So for the cell to eliminate waste, it has to travel through the fluid of both the fascia system surrounding the cells so that it can get into the lymph system from elimination. Isn't that fascinating? So they really are intimately connected. So the healthy fascia, a lymphatic system, relies on a healthy fascial system. The lymphatic system actually has a series of one-way valves that contain immune system cells that are going to cut off those microorganisms like the viruses and the bacteria that are sometimes in the lymphatic fluid. And those lymphatic nodes, or your lymph nodes, are really important because they are what help to detoxify and make them no longer toxic, and then move them again to our organs of elimination. Okay. And they're also surrounded and controlled by the fascial system. So just thinking about this for a moment again, we get our wands out, we start to open everything up, and oh my goodness, I get a migraine, I'm tired, I have a rash, this thing isn't working. No, this thing is working beautifully. Now, if it's too much and you're feeling like you're getting a little too overwhelmed with that toxicity as it's coming out, that's when you back off a little bit, right? You let everything calm down. You allow that lymph system to start to process everything through. You drink the water, and guess what else you do? You move. And I know you might not want to move, but hopefully, I'm going to give you some moves that you can do, even if you're not feeling great. And I guarantee you, you're going to start to feel better because you're going to move that through the system. All right, fascial restrictions can impede the function. So, restricted fascia can become rigid and inflexible, which creates adverse pressure and interferes with that lymph. So, let me just give you a couple of factors. Why do we get these fascial restrictions? Okay, tight and gooey and tight. Number one, lack of activity, right? What do we do all day long? We sit. And where are some of those lymph nodes? Here in our feet, up, we're like this. So we're not getting any movement in there. I actually made a mistake, and this one's done twice. Maybe that was a little bit of a Freudian slip there, right? Because it's so important. Emotional or psychological stress, yes, that may trigger subconscious bracing. Do you know what that is? That's like, oh my gosh, something happened, and I'm going to go like this. I'm going to brace, and I'm going to stay like this. And over time, this armoring, the fascia glues up to this. And now here we are, and we're like, gosh, I can't open up, right? So now we have to really work to open up that fascial bracing. Dysfunctional breathing. What happens when we're stressed? We chest breathe. Do you know that just taking deep abdominal breaths, pushing it in, press it out, that creates this suction, it creates that tube, and that helps to pump the lymphatic system, just doing really good, deep, slow abdominal breathing or diaphragmic breathing. Poor movement patterns and muscle recruitment sequences. And that just means that maybe you had an injury in one arm, and so you're doing everything with the other one. Okay. And so this causes issues all through the whole fascial system. Trauma, any trauma, accidents, car accidents, whiplash, surgery, trauma will end up having fascial restrictions. Infection and inflammation. Yeah, even that causes it. Bad posture. We talked about that. Scar tissue. Scar tissue is essentially bound fascia over a place. So, we want to be able to wand, etc., and open up that scar tissue and allow everything to move. Because where you have restriction in fascia, the body will adjust all the way up the system. That's a whole other talk, isn't it? So we won't get into all that. But when the fascia becomes stiff and inflexible, muscles become restricted and your range of motion is decreased. So let's even say with your shoulder joint, pretend like you have a restriction, you pull in here. Now you can't lift that arm, right? That's what we're talking about. And we're thinking, oh my gosh, I did something to my muscle. No, most likely it's not muscle. It's the fascia. Release the fascia, and now the muscle can move. All right. So it impacts many systems, including the lymph system. So you get that picture. When the fascia is restricted, lymphatic drainage slows down, is less effective, leaving harmful cells and oxidative waste in the body for a lot longer. So we know how that is. I'm just going to go quickly through this one, you guys. Just showing what happens when fascial restriction compromises the lymph. And the only reason I put this in is because I want you to start to think about maybe some symptoms or something that you're feeling in the body. And maybe you got a diagnosis that might not be exactly this, because in the West, right, we have diagnoses because everybody separates the body into parts, where we look at the body as a whole. So how about just pains in muscles and joints? Okay, joints can get swollen and puffy. The inflammation of the joints block effective blood flow and the nerve conduction, so you get pain and joint instability. Swelling, inflammation. How about edema and congestion? So your body may pull fluid to aid that lubrication and mobility of the nervous system and the joints. And this can present as swollen glands, right? Puffiness in the eyes or the face, swelling in the fingers, right? All of a sudden your rings get tight, ankles or bloating. So I bet you can relate to a lot of these things. Joint and muscle stiffness, we know about that. Cellulite. So a lot of people have this cellulite or cellulite, how you want to pronounce it, which is that appearance is really from pockets of fat that are pushing up through the connective tissue, the fascia, where the fascia is tight and restricted, so it pushes through. And the fascia looks like layers of spider webs. And when the spider webs are restricted, they glue. And this binds the fat and creates the appearance of cellulite. Now, I know, especially if you've been around the t-tapp world or whatever, there's something called fascia blasting that this lady came up with a number of years ago. And she has this little piece of equipment that looks like claws, and people are going in and really, doing this. And there's lots of ways to get rid of the fascial restriction. I personally find, and we can always do some, there's foam rolling, there's just all kinds of things, and they work. There's not one thing that works. I'm going to share with you just some movement. What I do know is what really helps is heat, frequency, and movement. You really don't need to be digging in there and be harsh with it, because the fascia is also where our nervous system is. It's where the nerves are. And if you're really restricted, that can be very painful. And it doesn't need to be, you guys. We don't need to be in pain. I'm just telling you this. Other places that it will come up is poor posture, reduced flexibility, kind of clumsy, uncoordinated movements like your mouth, muscle cramps when you rest, intermittent tingling or numbness in arms or legs. So congested lymph can also include symptoms like fatigue, headaches, sinus infections, skin issues, dry or itchy skin. So when you work to release the bound fascia, you're also stimulating the lymph system. They work hand in hand. All right. So that's what I wanted to just share with you, so you can get a sense of what's happening again with the wand and with this movement, both releasing the fascia and getting into that lymph system. So everything's going to, as I like to say, we're going to blow and flow, you guys. So if you have a wand and you want to wand with me, great. If not, just kind of watch what I'm doing. You can blow later, and then we can do some movement. So what we know is that fascia, and apparently lymph as well, really reacts positively to heat. We've talked about that, right? That's why the wand sends out heat, and heat is part of the therapy. So what we want to do before, I believe before, but you can always do it after. This is just my experience, because we're all playing in the field, right? Learning and getting creative. But I really feel like I want to heat that fascia first, get that slide and glide movement. I want my fascia to start to get a little bit more, less gluey. And then I want to do some specific movements that are going to open the fascia and pump the lymphatic system. So that's the sequence that I like to use. So I'm going to sit down here in my little trusty chair. So you might want to have a chair, have your blower. I'm not actually going to blow tonight because it's loud. That wouldn't be pleasant on your ears. So if you have one, it's a good time to start. And I'm just going to put my feet up. And where are we going to start, you guys? Well, I'm just going to start on the bottoms of the feet. All right. So just pretending you have this, we're going in a circle. What you want to use a setting that's as much heat as you can tolerate. Okay. You don't have to overgo. If your feet don't like the heat, it's fine. Mine do. So if I had this on, I would probably have mine on setting 2. And you're just going to wand on the foot. You can wand on the top of the foot, warm it all up. Right. And we know that the feet are the foundation of the body. And in the workout and in the moves that we're going to talk about, we're going to do some specific moves to warm up and work the fascia and the lymph of the feet, because that is so important. Okay, so just pretend like we did this. Notice opposite hand to opposite foot. So I'm not going to do the other one right now, just for time's sake, but let's switch the wand. So we're going to go bilateral, so we can also work our brain. Might as well multitask. And now we're going to do our hands. So in this workout that I was talking to you about, this t-tapp workout, the woman that developed this, gosh darn, I don't know how she knew all this, but she somehow did, all about fascia and the lymph system. And she designed it, and she would say that between every major muscle move, she put in a lymphatic move. And she really taught us a lot about the lymph system and the pumping. She used to say that the calf is the heartbeat of the lymph system. So she was the one that taught, you need to get movement, you need to pump. And why did she say that? Because we see that it requires movement to move this lymph. So anytime you do this, right, you're pumping, you're working the calf muscle, you're pumping, you're working the fascia system from the feet, the ankles, the calf on up the body. So you're going to see this in a minute. So I'm going to do here. Now from here, I'm going to go and I'm going to do, let me go to the opposite leg, and I'm going to do behind the knee. Now, behind the knee has a lot of lymphatic nodes, so lymph nodes, lots of nodes behind the knee. I'm not going to do the other side, but if I was doing my own, I would, because from here, these are more lymph nodes. Hands and feet, yes, lymph nodes, but they're also reflexology and acupuncture points. So not as much with the lymph, but behind the knee is the lymph. So you might want to warm that up on here. You can do it on the other side as well. So good. All right, let's move on. How about the armpits? Now, the armpits, we know this, right? There's lots of nodes in the armpits. So I like to kind of take a little extra time on both armpits because I want to get all that moving now that it's moving up. Oh, you know what I forgot? I forgot the groin. So I'm going to stop my pits. Let's stop the pits and go to the groin. So here's my groin right in here. I know I'm all in black. You can't really see. I like to do circles, okay? It's not any, oh, I have to do circles. Do I need to do circles, Renee? Does it need to be clockwise? Does it need to be counterclockwise? It doesn't matter. I'm just doing here because all I'm doing is stimulating and working, unclogging, right? The congested lymph. So I'm using heat in there and I'm using frequency to help move everything in. So I've done the groins, already did the pit. Now what are we going to do next? The neck, on both sides of the neck. So this is a beautiful place for those lymph nodes. We know, especially as kids, right? We used to get swollen glands, although we get them now. I had a client of mine the other day just call me and say, oh my gosh, Renee, I'm not feeling good. I'm kind of tired. And I have swollen glands, right? Isn't that what we would call them? Swollen glands. You do want both sides of that. And that's where those lymphs are coming in here. Now, one of the things too, just to know, I find this fascinating, that our brain detoxes the lymph, and that system is actually called the glymph system. Have you ever heard of the glymph system? Well, when we sleep, that's when the brain cleans out the junk that's gone through the blood-brain barrier, and it's called the glymph system, and it will drain down into the neck, down here. So that's why you really want to get it. Now, you can go on the back of the neck, but if you can't reach, I'm going to come up into here and I'm just going to feel it in the back because we know that the wand goes from the front to the back. So it doesn't matter. It's going to go in 30 centimeters. So I'm just going to do this and pretend like it's back there. And I'm not going to do top of head for now. That's for a different thing. But now I am going to think the last part is up and down the spine. So I'm just going to blow up and down the spine, feeling the heat. And there's also a lot of fascia in between every single disc. We have fascia. Fascia is what is holding us up. It's connecting it all and it's separating it all. So now we know that the lymph is connected as well to the fascia. So we're also getting rid of the junk up the spine while we are stimulating our stem cells. I mean, when you start to get what's happening, it is just breathtaking, is it not? All right, so hopefully you've been wanding, you've warmed your body up. I'm going to put my wand over here now on my very padded carpet, paying very close attention. All right, now I'm going to get up out of the chair and I'm going to recommend you do this too. Hopefully you'll be able to come with me and do this work. So I'm just going to move this over here. Now, as I was telling you, we learned all about the benefits of working the hands and the feet. Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple of hand positions. And now that we're teaching, I'm going to take this pretty orange, my orange off so you can really see what's going on here. All right, here we go. So there's a lot of hand and foot stuff that we do in this workout we call t-tapp because Teresa Tapp recognized the benefits of that. All right, so let me go right into it. So we call this a mitten hand. Why? Because the fingers are together, thumbs away, like you would be in a mitten. And notice I'm going to go to here so you can see this. So you don't want to just kind of willy-nilly this. You really want to stretch those fingers back. So you're pressing the palms forward, fingernails, if you will, back and stretch your thumbs. Okay. Now you're going to notice just doing this. Maybe your pinky doesn't really want to come together. Mine never does, but I'm going to press them together as much as I can and really stretch. Now, you're like, Renee, big deal. This is really exercise. Are you starting to feel it though? You can feel what's going on all the way up, even into the forearms. That's your mitten. Now we're going to call this one, we call it a bear claw. So just at the top of the knuckles, you're going to bend and pull them back and stretch the thumbs. Okay. Woo! Can you now feel that in a whole different way? All right. The last hand position I want to share with you, we call it jazz hand, but it's really just stretching those fingers. See if you can really feel the space between all of those, and then stretch through the palms. Ooh, it's shaking out. You can feel that all the way up, right? Because you're working the fascia lines, okay, opening everything up, and it's also going to pump some of the lymph. Pretty powerful. All right. So let's get into it. I'm going to show you how we can just start with just a few things and open up and start to pump up here. So I'm going to share with you a little way to stand, because that will make a difference for you. So you're going to put your feet pretty darn close together, kind of, we call it like four fingers, but basically just have your feet pretty close together with your toes straight ahead or parallel on the sides. We don't have to get this perfect, not all that important, but just so you get a sense of what you're feeling on your feet. Okay. Now, I want you to soften your knees, give them a little bend. You know, most of us, we talk about poor movement patterns. So many of us, depending on where we are, we either lock the knees back, arch that back, and we're forward. Have you ever seen people like this? And maybe the head is even forward. And boy, that puts a lot of pressure here on the lower back. And that can be just how your body is built. Or we can do this. See people like this. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but we see people like this, right? And that's just closing everything in. That's a different movement pattern. But we want to have a really nice postured pattern. Okay. So with that, instead of locking the knees back, because that will give you a bit of an arch, I want you to soften or bend and just take that tail and just feel like it's heavy, like it almost has an anchor on it, and you're going to anchor it down towards your heels. Now notice that takes away a lot of that pressure on your lower back. So these are just more things to know. Where our fascia gets stuck in poor movement patterns, it's bound fascia. So now we're moving it out of that way, okay? Just know you don't want those knees to roll in, so just kind of keep them out. You can always press out from your ankles a little bit, if that's yours. All right, now you're going to lift this up. We call it lift the ribs. What the heck is that? Well, just pretend if you have a little string right here at the cleavage and another string right like, sorry guys, but you could probably figure out where. If you had a bra on, this is the bottom of your bra strap, okay? So I want you to just think about lifting diagonally up from that. You see what happened? So I was able to lift up from here. And I used to just say, just lift straight up. But what we would tend to do is this. So if you go at a diagonal, that's how you're lifting up that rib cage. Now, for some of us just standing here, you might be like, oh my gosh, Renee, I feel everything. Right. Because we're taking you to a different extreme of what you're probably used to. Now I just want you to bring your arms out like this, right? A little bit away from the body. And let's do that strong mitten hand. So your fingers are together. I want you to think, lift. I'm going to call it the girls. Sorry, boys. Boys got girls too. So we're lifting the girls, stretching those arms down. The fingers are together. I want you to stretch those fingers back and that thumb up. And really stand her. I bet you any money you're feeling it all, aren't you? It's amazing when you activate right there. Now, in this position, I just want you to think about something. Think about when Dr. Kim talked to us about the lung channel, right? Where's the lung channel? It's from the thumb all the way up into here, across the heart, and then back into there. So right now, we are activating yes, the lung channel. All right, so from here, I want you to bend those fingers at the knuckle. Give me a bear claw. Then you're going to take your thumbs and you're going to pull them all the way back. You're going to rotate that arm bone back into the shoulder. Can you feel how that made that shoulder roll back to wherever you can? If you've got a lot of bound fascia on there, you won't be able to go as much as me. It's fine. Then just Bend your elbows and keep twisting those thumbs back. Now I'm going to take my elbows back just a little bit behind the shoulder joint just for a second because I really want you to feel what's happening up there in that up under the armpit, okay? Pumping the lymph. Let's do 4 claps to pump the lymph. So we're going to bring the hands in. When you touch, you can do a little bit of girl here and then pump back. So you're just going to go touch and back, 2 and back, go 3 and back, 4 and back. What are you feeling? Let's just shake it out. So just that, you guys, you're activating the lung channel and you're pumping that lymphatic from up here underneath the armpit and into here. So we're going to go a little bit more with that, okay? And I want to introduce a whole idea that I'm going to call the power of the push and pull, okay? We're going to be pushing things and pulling. So think about this if you happen to be somebody that does weights. We push, right? And we pull. So even weight training, you can do this as well. I'm not saying that t-tapp is the only movement. This is a specific movement for some of these that you might love. I do, but movement is movement. Power of the push and the pull. You're going to work lymph and fascia. All right, so you're going to stay back in this position, keeping the feet there. You're going to take your hands like this, and you're going to put your thumbs on the inside of your thighs about midway. Fingers are around here, and just kind of hang here for a second. So I have kind of a neutral spine going on here, right? I'm just holding myself here. So from here, you're going to push those hands down into the leg. I want you to actually push into the leg, down, and then straighten your arms and curl your tail under. So pretend like you have a tail. It's coming through here. And then taking your chin, dropping it to your chest. You can bend the knees more. Think about even pulling in from the belly button. Beautiful. So feel like you have this capital C from the top crown of your head down through the tail. Big C. So we are activating that whole spine. Now you're grabbing on. That was the power of the push. Now we're going to pull. So you're grabbing on now. Pull up against the skin. Release. Arch the tail out. And then bend those elbows and come on down. Want to try it again? Let's shift back. We're going to push down. Lift up. So if any of you have done yoga, which is also great for fascia, this is cat-cow standing. Pull up. But it's also very much activating and focusing on muscle activation and fascia. Let's do one more time. We're going to stay up there for a minute. Push down, curl under. Good. Now we're going to release those legs and we're going to bring those arms right underneath our shoulders. Now give me a strong jazz, like really stretch those fingers and then slowly start to bring your arms up to shoulder height. Now I say slow, reaching those arms out away from your body. Feel all that muscle activation. So you're really getting into the fascia and the lymph as you're doing this. Now, once they're up there, I want you to hook your thumbs and just pull the thumbs apart. So feel that activation. Then take all your fingers, press them all in together and feel that. And reach forward. So you're reaching forward from underneath this arm. We call it, that's your lats. That's what we call the lats. And everything is activated now. You are working everything. Release those hands. Come back to those legs, thumbs inside, fingers outside. We're going to do the pull again. Pull up, arch, and come on down. So good. So we're working it all, you guys. Now from here, just bring your hands here. Press on up so you can support yourself to come on up. So good. Here's a beautiful torso fascia stretch. Now, a lot of us just were like, Renee, I don't understand why I can't lose this. I'm working out. I'm eating good. It can be scar tissue in here. It can be trauma. It's bound fascia and lymphatics that's not moving. This is a beautiful little, really quick thing you can do. You can put your hands in like a little karate chop, put your pinkies here, and I'm right here. Here's my groin, so I'm right here. I'm going to push my hands in, power the push in, press down, and lift. Use it for leverage. So I'm lifting, yes, I'm arching my back out, but I'm stretching all this fascia. And let it go. How about one more time, you guys? This is one you can do all day long. Push in, press. Lift. and let it go. We do so much forward flexion in most exercises. So doing extensions up and back is so important. We need to work both the front and the back body. All right, beautiful. So from there, how's that feel? You can give me a thumbs up if you're feeling all that. And now the next one that I just love, this is one of my favorites. We call them arm pumps. Okay. Why? Because we're going to be pumping everything and opening up the fascia in your neck, in your shoulders, and under here. This is some of the most bound fascia we're going to find because we're so like this. So here's what I want you to do. We're going to get back in this stance. So if you've already moved, you can bend your knees, you can drop your tail. You might want to shift back into your heels. Knees are out a little bit. And now I'm going to turn around. What I want you to do is take your hands, okay, intertwine your fingers. If you can get your palms together, great. If you can't, that's okay. But notice how what most of us will do. Watch my shoulder joint. Can you see how my shoulder joint is rolled a bit forward? Okay. So if you can, here's where we're ideally wanting to go. I want you to lift it up and back. Okay, now you might not be able to go nearly as far as I do because I've been doing this a heck of a long time, but you just notice, go as far as you can. And then I have my elbows bent. Can you see that? And I actually have my hands right about my sacrum. So I'm going to put my shoulders down and I'm going to take those elbows and squeeze between my shoulder blades. Quite frankly, you guys, this is about all you really need to do. But now we're going to pump a little bit. So here's what that looks like, okay? So I'm going to lift, touch, lift, touch, lift, touch. Now, what am I doing? I'm pumping the lymph and I'm opening everything up again through that lung channel across the heart and getting all that in here. Now, you just do the best you can. Things to watch out for is I'm not doing it from my lower arms. See, that's not going to pump the lymph. You have to really be specific about it, and it's intense. All right, so shake it out. Now, let me just show you one more thing because I know there are some of you on there that absolutely cannot even probably get your hands together. No worries. We've got us a towel or a scarf or a yoga strap, whatever you got there. I'm just going to show you real quick how to do that. So you're going to be back in that same position. I'm going to just have my hands right at the edges here because you want shoulder, elbow, and wrist in an aligned position. I'm going to go down. My thumbs are facing center. Now, for some of you, all you have to do is tighten that towel and you are where you need to be. Okay, and you straighten and you lift like this, okay? But if you can still do more, I'm going to turn, you can take those thumbs and do a rotation in towards the body. And the shoulders will roll back. You're squeezing between the shoulder blades. You can tighten the towel a little bit and you can lift and touch, and that is pumping all that lymph and opening up in the fascia. Now, once you're there, now we're going to do a little bit of neck stretches. So, keeping in this position, keep tightening that towel or pull your hands away, like try to create resistance with your hands. That will also help because you're stabilizing everything. And then you're going to drop your chin and slowly roll your head to one side. Ooh, and you can even move the chin around a little bit. So I like to, this is like a bi-directional stretch. So the neck is going one way, the shoulders pressing down. And guess what? Sometimes you can feel almost those lymph nodes draining out of there. Very powerful lymph pump. And then you can take it, roll down, go slow because the neck vertebrae are very gentle and delicate. And come on up to the other side. Do the same thing. Think, yeah, I'm talking about draining, huh? Think lifting the girls, shoulders down, squeeze between the blades. Good. And then take it down and pull back and lift. Now you can also do some sides. You can look over one shoulder and the other. That's what we're going to do. But for right now, excuse me, you guys, just take it and shake it all out. Now, down there, I want some comments. Tell me what's going on. I have to say that Dan Wiley's on here, and he's also a t-tapp trainer. And one year he came to one of our retreats, and he put us through some arm stuff that I will never forget. So Dan is definitely a lymph and fascia arm expert. Oh, my goodness. So anyway, I just wanted to do a quick shout out to Dan. All right. Now, I promised you some foot stuff because for me, lower leg is so important. And what we just did, we were a little bit more upper body. So I am all about the feet. So before you do any of this, it's really fun. I like to just kind of walk around where your room is, just give it a little walk, but put your focus down in your feet. What are you feeling? So many of us, because we don't use our feet much, we don't really work it. We're in shoes. You notice I'm in bare feet. I work out always. I try to be in bare feet in my house as much as I can because I want to work my feet. But so many people just, they heel and they just flat foot or they just do this. Lift. You ever see anybody that lift this way and lift because their feet are so tight? It's so important to really work the feet. So you can even just lift one foot up onto the ball joints and notice, do you do this? Does that ankle sickle out? You want to keep, whoop, I just cramped. You want to keep that ankle straight up. So you can just kind of press in there, then push down into those toe ball joints, drop that heel, go to the other side. See what I just did? I ankled out for a second. So you just go up and down, just this, you guys, just this is going to really help. You're working the fascia, that plantar fascia. You're pumping the lymphatic system. If you just do this, that will help and will really give you a better sense of energy. But now we're going to take it one step further. We're going to do the power of the push and the pull. Yes, we are on the back of the chair. You can do it. Countertop is great because it doesn't move. So you're going to push and then you're going to pull this way and push. Okay, so it's easier. But I have a chair. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm just going to go to the side for a minute and I'm going to take one foot back. Now I'm on my ball joints. I'm almost like really high, like I had a stiletto on, right? So now I'm going to take my hands here. I'm going to push down. Look what happens. My rib cage comes up, right? So now I'm activating. Then I'm going to push against the chair that way. And I'm going to press my feet in the ground and push back. And as I do that, I'm pressing those feet in the ground and I am slowly dropping my heel. I can see right by the name there. I need to move it back, don't I? There you go. All the way. And once you're all the way down, I want you to reach through that heel, behind the knee and the heel, and feel that stretch, okay? It's all the way from, this is a starting of a fascia line, all the way from the Achilles, up, 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 all the way. You're going to get that all the way up. And then you do it a few times. Let's go to the other foot. Oh, you know what? Before we do that, and I only did it once, and then just walk for a second and just notice how much more energy you have. It will give you so much more energy. It's amazing. Let's go to the other foot. So same thing. I'm going to come up on my stiletto heel. I'm going to push down to lift my ribs. I'm going to push into the chair. I'm going to actually let it lift so I really get some good leverage. And I'm going to slowly drop that foot, stretch into the back heel. Gosh, that feels good, you guys. And press on up. Good. So great stretches to do always for those feet. Now, do you know what one of the very best lymphatic and fascia stretches and movements are? Ba, 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 ba. Walking. The human body was designed to do what? To walk. And one of the reasons for that is it's very lymphatic, okay? We're pumping the lymph, especially from that lower body. Now, notice when I'm doing this, we're going to do a little bit, get those arms a-going, because we want to pump from down there. We're working the feet, behind the knee, in the groin. We need some pit and upper body, do we not? So I just want you to give me a 90 degrees with those arms and pump those arms back. Keep the shoulders down and pump those arms. Now, I want you to notice too what you do when you walk. This is just a notice. Do you do this? Watch my feet. Do you just flat foot? You don't want to flat foot as much as you can. So when you're doing a standing walking, you want to go like toe heel, toe heel, toe heel. Notice the difference, okay? Because that's working the fascia of the feet and the lower leg. You are pumping everything. Beautiful. So here we're going. We're pumping. We're moving the lymph. Let's get a little bit more upper body. We're going to add some finger fitness. So we're going to come to here. Have you ever seen a finger fan? This is a finger fan. We pull in, you go all the way out. Finger fans. So let's keep going, but we're going to finger fan up and finger fan down. So we're kind of doing a little bicep curl here. Good. Finger fan wide because we also have the fascia lines and the lymph in the hands and the feet, which is why we already warmed it all up, right? When we blew. Good work. Now I'm going to take these arms and I'm going to bring them forward like this, just like this first. Okay. And then I'm going to put them in a fist and I'm going to pull back, pumping up in here. So let's try it. So we're going to go out like this, 3, 4, and pull back in. We're going to go out again. 2, 3, 4, and in. Ribs up. Take it out. 2, 3, 4, and in. 2, 3, 4. How about one more time out? Good. And in. Beautiful. Let's bring it up on our face. Okay, we're going to take it up a little bit higher. We're the same thing. And in. Why? Because we're working the body in all these different ways. The body needs to move in all those different ways. So it's pumping and moving the lymph. So good. I'm going to do one more. Good. Now I'm going to take them up and we're going to go into what we call big W. Right there you go. And up. So you go in and up. In, 2, 3, 4. Push it up. And in. What are we doing? We're pumping even more. And just for a little added benefit, every time you bring your arms above the head, you get a little bit of a heart rate raise. Did you know that? So if you're doing this with me and you got high blood pressure and you're feeling like, oh, this is too much, you just bring those arms right back down and you just work. So I'm just going to stop right here now to let you know that again, just notice we didn't do much movement at all, did we? But it was very specific. And I want you to notice, what are you feeling in your body? Like right now, my feet are tingling. I can feel tingling in my lower body. I just feel good. I'm loose and everything feels really good. So it doesn't take a lot. But throughout the day, it's so important for that lymph, for the fascia to get up and move. We need to not be stagnant, okay? And so the last one that I want to just do, I want you to see how you feel. And then it can even be as easy as this. Remember on one of them I taught shaking. Shaking is an ancient Qigong exercise that when you first see it, you think, I'm not going to shake. This is ridiculous. But now that you understand fascia and lymph, this was brilliant. And by the way, every time that heel touches, right, you're doing a big lymph pump. And they've actually found through studies that girls who jump on trampolines and do this have stronger bones many, many, many years later, right? So if you're looking, if you have osteoporosis, osteopenia, and you really want to help, just shake, lift the heels, let the body go, let it shake, relax it. The more relaxed you can do this, the better. Good. And then after I get tired with those lower legs, I don't lift the heels anymore, but I'll just keep shaking, shake the hands, look silly, shake the legs. Yep. What are we doing? We're shaking, we're moving it all up. And then after you do it, just stop and pay attention. Notice how much energy you just got out of that. Isn't that amazing? So just showing, I hope that this helped, how you can use your wand, if you have one, to heat the body first and then move. And you're going to move all this and really feel so much better. And also notice that with the fascia and the lymph, that if you are getting some detoxing situations going on when you turn that wand on, understand what's happening. Yeah, it's powerful, but it's great. We just need to help the body help itself. And movement can make so much difference. So I hope that this was fun for you, that you enjoyed it. Let me know. Let me know if you want more of these. That would be great. And if anybody has any other questions, just looking. And by the way, if you don't have a wand and you're interested in one, make sure to get back to the person that maybe introduced you to this video or to the live stream, and they will help you. If it was me, I'm happy to help you, or anybody else. So thank you so much. Thanks, Tammy. I appreciate that. I hope you found some things to be interested. All right, you guys. Well, thanks again. Have a beautiful, wonderful evening. And I will see you again soon. And thanks, Cheryl, for being here with me and monitoring. I appreciate it. All right, you guys. Have a great evening.